Hi, freshmen. We have a special guest star today. This is my wife, Amy, and she's going to read with us today. And we're going to do Act 2, Scene 2 of Romeo and Juliet. And this is the most important scene ever in all of literature. Like, this is the scene. This has the most famous lines of anything that anyone has ever written. When people think about literature, this is the scene they think about. So we're going to read, this is the balcony scene, right? Act 2, Scene 2, the most romantic scene ever. We'll see if it's actually that romantic. So just remember that you need to be making the annotations along with us. And you're doing the most famous lines in light blue, important plot lines in orange. We're going to be underlining some words and then lots of notes in the margins this time. So just be ready to go. I would open them up so you have them in two different tabs and you can kind of watch the video and annotate at the same time. And I'll read for Romeo. You want to read for Juliet?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go. So this is directly after Act 1. Remember that, or Act 2, Scene 1. Remember that Romeo jumped over the wall and Mercutio and Benvolio were making fun of him and everything. This is directly after. So he's in the Capulet orchard and there's like a balcony up there and, you know, there's fruit trees and stuff like that. And I would say that it's probably like 1 a.m. Like, they were partying for a while. And so he jumps the wall and he sees Juliet's balcony. And in Verona, there's actually a place that you can go called Juliet's balcony, but I don't think Juliet was actually a real person. I think that it's just a tourist trap sort of thing. So we'll see. So Romeo comes in and he says he jests at scars that never felt a wound. He's talking about Mercutio and Benvolio and how they're making fun. Then Juliet appears at the window and he says, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat their eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheeks would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy regions stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her hand, cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek." All right, so we need to highlight some stuff. So we have some really famous lines here. So we're going to highlight in blue. And then these lines as well. These are really famous, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks. And then also down here, we're going to highlight, oops, too much. We're going to highlight right here. And then we're also going to highlight this one. And then we're going to do a comment box. And we're going to write, Romeo compares Juliet to the stars and the sun, right? And so we have that light and dark juxtaposition going on, that one of our motifs is, you know, light and dark. And he's doing that here. He's comparing Juliet to this brightness in the darkness, right? And I think it's interesting, though, because like a while ago, he was in love with Rosaline, and now all of a sudden, now it's Juliet. And remember, like, he didn't even know her name like 20 minutes ago. So I don't know. So Juliet is at her window and she says,
I, me.
No, yeah, I, me.
Oh, I, me.
So she comes out, she says, I, me. This is actually really important line. So we're going to highlight it. It's famous. We're going to highlight it in blue. And then we're going to do a comment box next to it. And we're going to write, what does this line mean? I, me, right? It says so much about what is going on in Juliet's mind. she is overwhelmed because so much happened at the party. Right? So this is all the stuff. She danced with Paris. Her mother paid attention to her. She met and fell in love with Romeo. That's a lot of stuff to happen during one party. And so she's just like, hi, me. Oh, so much is happening. All right, so Romeo says, she speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel. So see, he calls her a bright angel in the night. For thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as a winged messenger of heaven, upon the white, upturned, wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air. So we're going to add another comment. We're going to say, Romeo compares Juliet to a bright angel that is shining in the night. Good. All right. So now it's Juliet. This is most famous line in all of literature. Here it goes.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn, my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Very good. Very good. So we are going to highlight that in blue. This is the "Oh Romeo, Romeo" line is probably the most famous line in all of literature. This is the one. If anyone memorizes any line from any book, it's going to be this one, probably. So then we're also going to make a comment, right? So we're saying Juliet has only known Romeo for a few short minutes, but she loves him? Question mark? This is moving a little fast. Just a little fast. They barely met each other. He kissed her before he even knew her name. So Romeo says this as an aside, this next one. So remember that an aside means that we can hear it as the audience, but Juliet can't hear this, right? So you can't hear this, right? Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. Did I say that right?
Montague.
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 What's Montague? Is it nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man?
Gross.
Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without that title, Romeo doth thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
All right, more famous lines. We're going to highlight the what's in a name stuff, right? And those are real famous. Ah, man, I messed it up. I got to go to the markup. There we go. What's in a name? This is really famous. What we call a rose, it's just a word. It doesn't matter what we call a rose. It still smells the same. So Romeo finally stands forth, right, and lets himself be known to Juliet. I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo. So we're going to highlight this as well in blue. So what he's saying, if you just tell me that you love me, I will take on a new name. I will be new baptized.
What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and to Montague?
Neither, fair saint, if either thee dislike.
How canst thou hither tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot love hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt? But therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me. We're going to make a comment right there, because this is like sappy, silly romance stuff. What a silly romance line. Come on, Romeo. Like, this is bleh. All right, go ahead.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, There lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight. But thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love. So we're gonna stop again right here, and we're gonna make a big old text box right here, and we're gonna write Rosaline who? Because just like an hour ago, he was like, Rosaline's the best. I love Rosaline. She's so great. I love her. But now he's all about Juliet. It was really quick. So then we're also going to write Romeo isn't scared of death because he is in love, and love will protect him. He can die happy because he has experienced true love. Because remember, while I don't necessarily believe in love at first sight, do you believe in love at first sight?
Nope.
Yep. And but in this play, it's real, right? There is love at first sight. All right, go ahead.
By whose direction foundst thou out this place?
By love. How did you find me? Oh, love directed me to you. Who did first prompt me to inquire? He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou know'st the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek. For that which thou hast heard me speak tonight, fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke. But farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayest prove false. At lovers' perjuries they say, Jove laughs. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In
All right, we'll pause for just a second. We're going to highlight some stuff. So we're going to go and we're going to highlight in orange, because orange is plot point stuff. Is this orange? That's orange.
That's orange.
All right, so we're going to go right here, and we're going to go to, O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully, or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. All right, we're going to come back and talk about that in just a minute, but then we're also going to do a couple markups. So right around here, we're going to put a dot, and we're going to say Juliet is worried about how fast this is going. Yeah, I'm worried too, Juliet. This is crazy. And then we're also going to go and we're going to underline the word Jove, because we do need to talk about Jove. And then go ahead and make your little comment box here. So Jove is actually, that's a plus sign. It's Jupiter or Zeus, which is interesting because Juliet is a Christian in here, right? But she's saying, by Jove, Jove lasts. And I think that that's the connection between, a lot of these families were pagan until Christianity came in and took over in their area, and they all converted. So she's calling upon the old gods here. And then the final thing that we're going to is we're going to put a comment box right here, and Juliet asks Romeo for a vow of love. Now, this is actually a really important thing, because back then they didn't have all the same traditions that we have today. And so she's asking for this vow of love, and it's this really important, like legally binding thing that she's asking for. She's asking for Romeo to say something so that he binds himself to her. It's kind of like giving a girl an engagement ring, right? She wants him to do that whole like get down on one knee, say that I want to marry you sort of thing. But they didn't exchange rings back then. They didn't do that thing. That's a newer tradition in our civilization. All right, go ahead. Amy, why don't you start right here? So thou wilt woo.
Okay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior light. But trust, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, But thou overheardst ere I was ware my true love's passion, therefore pardon me, and not impute this gilding to light love, which is the dark night hath so discovered.
So now Romeo's going to give his he's going to swear, right? He's going to do his vow of love. He says, "Lady, by yonder blessed moon I swear that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops."
Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconsistent moon that monthly changes in her circled lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
Okay, so now we got to talk about this. So we need to mark up, and we're going to do this right here. And oh, oops, wrong. Undo that one. Undo it. All right, here we go. This and this. Okay, so then we are going to do a comment box right next to him. So Romeo swears by the moon and the trees. And you can see Juliet's not happy with that. She doesn't like that vow. She says, "Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon." And the reason is because of this word variable, right? So we're going to underline the word variable right here. And then we're going to go back here. So the both of these things change. So the moon changes all the time, right? It has different shapes. And trees change both in the spring and the fall. And so what Romeo is saying by swearing by the moon and the trees is that his love will change. That he will, right now he loves Juliet a whole bunch, but then later he's not going to love her anymore, right? So we're going to add suggesting that his love for Juliet will change. Bad move, Romeo. Bad move. So Romeo says, "What shall I swear by?"
Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
Oh man, that's so sappy. She goes, "Don't swear at all, or if you are, swear by yourself, because I love you so much, even though I just met you." Bleh. All right. "If my heart's dear love..."
Well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. I have no joy of this contract tonight. It's too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night, this bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
All right, we're going to highlight some stuff. So she says, "I have no joy in this." And she compares this contract which they're doing to lightning, right? Which is totally true, right? This is really fast. So then as she's leaving, Romeo says, "Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?"
Sorry, had to put that.
I know. We're going to talk about it.
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
See, okay, now we have to stop and talk about it. So we're going to underline unsatisfied here. And then we're going to highlight this as well. And we're going to make a little comment box next to this. Okay, so we're going to move it down to Juliet's line. So Juliet thinks that Romeo is talking about something else here. Fortunately,
you say that?
Yeah. Romeo is smarter than that this time. So if you remember from Act 1, that was Romeo's thing, right? When he went and approached Rosaline, he's like, "Hey, baby, you want to go make some kids with me?" And that's what Juliet thinks is going on, but it's not, right? Romeo's going to save it in just a minute. So he says, "Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?" She says, she's all upset.
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
"The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine." Oh, he just wants a vow of love.
"I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again."
"Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?"
but to be frank and give it to thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite.
So then the nurse calls, Juliet!
But to be, oh, sorry.
I hear some noise.
I hear some noise within, dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse, sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little, I will come again.
And exit. So Juliet goes to take care of the nurse. And Romeo's by himself. So this is a really short soliloquy. He says, oh, blessed, blessed night. I am afeared, being in night, all this is but a dream. Too flattering sweet to be substantial. So he thinks it's all a dream. So then Juliet comes back to her balcony.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that by bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, and send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Okay, so we are going to mark up, if thy bent be love, of love be honorable, right? And we're going to go all the way down to here. So she gives Romeo, they're not even married yet, and she's giving him to-do lists. Like, come on. So we need to then go down here to Romeo's to-do list and to fill in some stuff. So we're going to make this smaller, though, because that is huge. All right, so she says, we're going to have a wedding tomorrow. But it is tomorrow. She means today, right? She says, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure. My phone just went off. That was R2D2. And then the second thing she wants is he needs to get a priest. Fortunately for Romeo, he knows a priest, Friar Lawrence. So that's good. And then number 3 is send a message through the nurse. So tomorrow she will send the nurse and they'll figure out, when the wedding's going to be. But she wants to get married tomorrow. She does not want to wait. This is moving really fast, right? Like, whoa, that's so fast. She's like, let's get it done. Okay, so now we go. So the nurse says, Madame!
I come anon, but if thou mean'st not well, I do beseech thee.
Madame!
By and by I come to cease thy suit, and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send.
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times good night.
And so she leaves, right? And Romeo says, 1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes towards love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks. This is one of those famous lines right here. So we're going to highlight in blue. We are going to make one more comment right here. And so what Juliet is saying is, if you are just playing with me, then just leave me alone. Okay. So he starts leaving, right? He has to climb a wall now again. And then Juliet comes back.
Hist, Romeo, hist, oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies, and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine, with repetition of my Romeo's name.
It is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo!
My dear?
At what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
At the hour of 9. What? The hour of 9? I'm going to guesstimate, right? Like, he probably started this whole thing, and if we slow it down, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So if he wants her to send the nurse by the hour of 9, that means he has to go do all those things on his to-do list. Prepare a wedding, get a priest, all of that by 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't think Romeo's going to bed tonight. I think he's going to stay up all night long. All right, go.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget to have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy company.
And I will still stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird, who lets it hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted
gyves.
and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of its liberty.
I would I were thy bird. I want to be thy bird. Come on.
Sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night,
She's
good
gonna
night.
love me to death.
Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be tomorrow.
All right, I think you've heard that line before, right? Super famous line. So we're gonna highlight in blue. So then she exits. And Romeo says, "Sweet sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. I would I were sleep in peace, so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father sell, to help his help to crave, and my dear hap to tell." All right, so that is the end of Act 2, Scene 2, the balcony scene. Make sure that you do your after reading stuff. We have a lot going on here, right? We have past versus the future. We have some fate going on, and we have a lot of light and dark. So make sure you go back and highlight those motifs. And we'll see you in the next scene. Thanks for our guest star, Amy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.